Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel.
This is a sample video for our latest podcast episode, which is a news desk response.
We talk about the tragic death of activist Regan Russell, who was killed by a transport truck at a pig vigil, and we also talk about John Venus, who went back to eating animals.
And a flu virus recently discovered in China that's carried by pigs and has pandemic potential.
You can listen to the full podcast episode on Patreon, and the link for that is below in the description under this video.
Thanks so much for watching and listening, and we'll speak to you soon in the next video.
See you then. On to today's show, and today is a news desk response style episode. There are a few things that have happened in the vegan world that we want to talk about. We've had lots of requests to discuss these topics, and the first one we want to speak about is the absolutely tragic, horrific, terrible death of activist Regan Russell.
Yeah, for anyone unaware, Regan Russell was tragically killed on the morning of the 19th of June in an accident where she was bearing witness with Toronto Pig Save at a vigil outside Fearman's Slaughterhouse in Burlington, Ontario in Canada. Regan died after being run over by a transport truck full of pigs. Regan had been an animal advocate since 1979, the year before we were born. That's how long she dedicated her lives to advocating for animals.
Yeah.
And she attended vigils weekly for many years. Our hearts go out to everyone affected by Regan's death, and yet perhaps no one more so than to her life partner of 19 years, Mark Powell, who I quote said, "She died fighting for what she believed in."
He said, this is a quote from him, "My life ended on Friday. So for as long as I'm left here, we have to pick up the torch and we have to fight things like Bill 156.
Now, as a vegan and an animal rights activist and as a husband, if I haven't allowed myself to really go there in the mind as to what Mark must be experiencing. If that were to have happened to you, I can't even, words cannot describe, I can't even begin to comprehend, or I could, but I'd be an emotional wreck if I allowed myself even just to go there in my mind.
I know.
And yet we must go there in the mind, because if we can't put ourselves in someone else's position, such as Mark here, and imagine what it would be like to have our partner ripped away from us unjustly whilst they were standing up for the right to life for other sentient, innocent beings, well, then we're never going to be able to have empathy or compassion for anyone.
Yeah.
Regan Russell, an animal advocate of 41 years, defending the lives of the most innocent, vulnerable, sentient beings on the face of the earth.
Not hurting anyone.
Trying
to actually help others in need.
Trying to stop the hurting. Trying to stop the killing. Trying to stop the injustice. Trying to stop the violence. And yet little to no mainstream media attention, let alone public outcry or public outrage.
Yeah. And that really, really pees us off. That's unacceptable. But this is the world we live in.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, it's for pigs. I eat them. I don't care. Well, people don't even know about the story, though. That's the thing. I don't know. So this raises some questions, and we've had several messages sent to us from friends and followers about safe movement vigils. You know, should they continue? Are they effective? These kind of things we have to now start thinking about.
How to make them safer if they are to continue.
Yeah.
So these are huge questions.
They are.
Huge topics.
Like you said at the beginning, Luca, we have gone to so many vigils around the world, and I do think they are effective. They certainly were, I think, in years gone by when this was very new and people hadn't seen this kind of footage before. I think the first time that vigils started and all this footage was coming out. All right, next story that we want to talk about, and it really pains me to have to discuss this. We put it off for a very long time. We had so many people asking us for a response. John Venus officially has gone back to eating animals and told everybody about it. He's made several videos, I believe. So we have not watched any of his videos. I refuse to give that man a view. I cannot stomach this. I'm so over the quote-unquote ex-vegans, which obviously aren't ex-vegans because they were never vegan.
That's why you're doing air quotes.
I'm doing air quotes.
Ex-vegans, and gone back to eating animals is a far more accurate term and description.
Yeah, exactly. And this comes off the back of talking about the death of Regan Russell.
Yes.
So you've got one woman who, as we've already spoken about, gave her life trying to help animals. And then you've got the next story, on the other hand, this other guy.
Going back to taking animals' lives.
It's just like, what's going on? Both of these individuals know exactly what happens in the industry. Both of them are fully educated and informed. And yet here we are. So you name drop these people because they've got a platform, they've got influence, maybe they look really good aesthetically, like Johnny's a bodybuilder.
Tim Sheaf was like an amazing athlete type thing, freestyle runner, and you're going to use them. And so when they go back to eating animal products, there's just another name that Carnus can turn around and say...
Yeah, but didn't you tell me about that person and didn't they go back to salmon and eggs?
And so then, before you know it, vegans have got a list of 40 well-known people to have to...
Yeah, and this is why when we're outreaching, you need to stay focused on the animals, on the ethics, because people flip-flop, as we've just seen. And so...
John Flip-Flop Venus.
That's good. Thank you for the laugh. That's good. The one thing that doesn't change, the consistent thing, is the animals in hell. And if we stay focused on them, Carnus, who want to have this discussion and try and skirt, they can't. When you bring them back to the animals, there's no getting out of it. When you start to rely on, the health, well, this study said this, yes, well, this study said that, and this person's vegan, yeah, but that person stopped. So, you can go tit for tat, and this is what we spoke about in our workshops for a very long time, for 2 years on tour. Just always make the focus the animals, which that is what veganism is about, as we've just explained. So all of these other people are great anecdotes, as you said, celebrities, great, but it's like you pay double hard for it if they go back, which a lot of them do, because they're doing it for the aesthetics, for health, for clearing my skin, or whatever the problem is.
As soon as they get a pimple,
it's the kale.
Or can no longer have a wet dream. In Tim Sheaf's case,
you know what I mean? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Forget the fact that they're starving themselves or they've got.